Hello!
We are
Annie and Konstantin.
and you're watching another episode of
Updates. Freshly returned from the fusion, more or less.
So before we left for our fusion break, as you probably remember from last week's slightly early video, we had a marathon work night where we did all of the things, all of them, including send out both the German and the English newsletter, which is very exciting because it's been a while since our last newsletter and we kind of like sending them. So maybe we'll make a habit of it once a year or so. So then while at Fusion Festival, we were completely off the grid and didn't work at all. It was glorious. And now we're back to it. So starting today, we are going to pick up our crazy, insane, super intense work routine again and get all of the things done.
One thing we do have to show you, a really cool thing. Annie?
Do I get to?
Yeah.
I get to? Okay, hang on. I wasn't prepared.
Yes! You see right! These are the flyers that we sent out to print before we went to the fusion. And there's many more where this came from. This, my friends, are 2,000 flyers that will be spread out in the new world by yours truly.
That would be me. I am very, very excited to move the marketing campaign for the Depression and Anxiety Life Hacks to the next level and actually get out into the world and start talking to people. I'm going to be traveling on international airports and I'm going to be that weird person who, you know, comes up to you and says, "Do you have a minute to talk about depression and anxiety?"
Do you have a minute to talk about Brainweasels?
And I think of all the crazy people to approach you in an airport to, you know, teach you about things. I am the most delightful. So I am very much looking forward to that. The people traveling with me are not prepared for that, I don't think.
So there is this famous quote, and it goes along the lines of: young men want to die for an idea, middle-aged men want to live for one. And this is a thing that's been on my mind, probably because of the Hamilton soundtrack, which is running on repeat these days here at the KA headquarters. Because you have this general progression. When you're young, you're very easy to be ignited by an idea, and that's why youth groups are so powerful. The most young people, they connect easily to ideas, and they connect easily to each other, and they usually more radical than their parents or than the older people. And if I think back, it feels like basically every second person you met at your age was in some sort passionate about something. But when I look around my peers now, there are only very few who have that kind of passion, which is generally, I think, not a bad thing. It's just the way things go. At some point you settle, at some point you are not eager to die for an idea. At some point you decide that it's maybe better to live for it. And for that, you just maybe need to take off the edge a little bit. But I think for many people this happens way too early and way too strong. And I don't know if this is a human thing or this is a society thing, just the way I feel. I think in our society, in order to keep that flame, not to wave your white flag too early, you need to actively put yourself in situations that are not mind-numbing. And I think the mechanisms of modern society are plain and simple mind-numbing. This ideal world that is dictated to you by your surrounding, by the media, it's very focused on keeping you in line. The most simple example is the most obvious one, the internet. Stop there for a second and think for what you use the internet most of the time. For me it is checking Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp. 80% of my time spent on social media, it doesn't really fulfill me. It doesn't give me anything, but still I'm doing this. But on the other hand, for instance, I could be browsing the web for a gazillion pieces of free art that are there to you to get it. Be it images, be it like the Vimeo staff pics. You have an infinite amount of incredible video art. You could spend your time browsing through it. Your mind will be blown away, but you don't do this. But maybe you should. Well, maybe I should. I think my epiphany is be aware and seek out alternatives. Awareness is the word of the week.
So what you don't know is that this is my 4th attempt at an epiphany, because I'm having serious trouble saying words that make any sort of sense today. And the shocking part about this is that it doesn't totally bother me. My greatest fear in life is losing my mind, is not having grasp on my own brain. And right now, I am scatterbrained, a little confused, and I'm totally okay with it. I have been back from vacation for a full day now, and I'm just not completely caught up again, and that's terrible because I have a whole lot to do, and July is gigantic, chaotic, very full month, but I'm okay with it. So I'm coming to you today with the most simple epiphany I have possibly ever had, and that is, holy shit, people, look outside. It's the middle of summer / hello Southern Hemisphere, it's the middle of winter, and wherever you are, I'm sure it's somewhat beautiful in some sort of way. And life is generally pretty fun, and you can do things in life, like take a few days off, and if you can't take a few days off, you can take a couple of hours off. I don't care what you're doing, you can take a couple of hours off and just dwell. Just revel in the fact that you're alive, and you're here right now, and it's kind of beautiful outside. Food is good, and music is good, and whatever else floats your boat. But sometimes you don't have to have any deep thoughts or any greater wisdom. Sometimes it's totally okay to just stand here in the simplicity of your reality and go, man, this is nice. I like this. So that's why I'm at this week. Scatterbrained, but totally content with it. Next week we'll be back to business, but for today, it's really beautiful outside. I don't want to tell the good people about Fusion Festival.
Because it's a secret magical place you have to experience yourself.
It's important to know nothing when you go there. Just stumble into it unprepared and be utterly overwhelmed by the magnificence. I think it is important to note about the Fusion Festival that while I have not been to Burning Man, and that definitely needs to happen just to, have the comparison and to have experienced this weird thing, I am willing, very much willing, to bet the farm that I don't have on the fact that Fusion is about 2 million times better and not at all douchebaggy. I'm going to put it this way, yes. Fusion is fucking amazing and not at all douchebaggy. And I don't know jack shit about Burning Man. We will find that out. But if you are doubting the magnificence, don't. Just trust me.
Trust her. That woman knows. Hello!